How many of you actually like went ahead and Googled why cascading style sheets are called cascading style sheets? I actually gave you this sort of a task uh, in the last session. Okay, no one up until now. We'll wait for people to join. We'll start when we hit 20 people at least. We've had a long break, haven't we? Okay, just raise your hands if I am audible, by the way. Cool. Amazing. Oh, Saurabh is here. Nice. We'll wait for like two, three more people. We'll start at 8:45. So as usual, I'll just give you a brief overview of what we will be covering today. So basically, last class mein we sort of saw how to import fonts into our websites, into our CSS websites, and also like Manoj, I think you missed that part, right? You messaged me that you didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do a brief recap if I can, if we don't go ahead with CSS positioning, because positioning is like a bit of how would I put it? It's a little bit complicated for people to understand like initially. So also by the way, if you can turn on your cameras, uh, it is a bit hard for people to grasp how to position CSS, how to position CSS components and divs especially. So we will be going over that maybe in the next session. If we have time today, I will definitely like do a brief overview of all the positioning. How do you position stuff in CSS, and then we'll continue from there. And like if we have time, I will definitely go over the CSS fonts part because like a good bunch of people had doubts on how to import fonts from Google and how to change fonts and all of that. So we'll be doing that as well. 14 people. Usually we have around 30 people. Um, we'll wait for another like six more. We'll let people join. I think पिछले 4 5 days से we haven't conducted any sessions because of my exams and इसीलिए a lot of people like वो continuity break हो गया so a lot of people aren't joining but anyways how have you guys been थोड़ी बकचोदी करते हैं in the starting. We'll start at 8:50 sharp. हाँ तनिष्क बोल.
भाई आ- 4 असाइनमेंट है। एक प्रेजेंट नहीं, 2 प्रेजेंटेशन है और वो 3 4 रिपोर्ट है। नहीं एसकेडी, हाँ उसका भी असाइनमेंट, उसका अलग है। लैब रिकॉर्ड्स है और आईसीपी का जो लैब रिकॉर्ड है थियरी, उनको खुद ने पता क्या लिखा जाए एंड हमसे एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि हम लिखे। तो टिप्स दो यार।
भाई मेरी जो अभी लगी हुई है ना रुक जा. By the way we'll start at 8:50. एक मिनट just give me a sec. हाँ मेरी अभी जो लगी हुई है I have to write 5 assignments. No, 5 subjects, 10 assignments because I didn't write any of my assignments starting से. And I have to submit it on Monday. कल आज मेरी एक रिकॉर्ड गुम हो गई. कल मुझे एक रिकॉर्ड लिखना है, सबमिट करना है. आई हैव अ टेस्ट टुमारो एज वेल. हाँ सही. अब तुझे कोई सोल्यूशन मिले तो मुझे भी बताना भाई. If there is someone like doing a side business, it is illegal technically, but doing a side business, writing assignments and shit, just let me know. I need that. मेरे तीन
या
ऐसे
या मैसेज मी आल्सो, ओके प्लीज।
anyways. Hmm.
There is actually someone who charges like 30 rupees per assignment and
कहाँ
record.
पे कहाँ पे I need that person so
I'll
bad.
send you the number. Yeah.
Please,
ब्रो
please,
सेंड इट इन द ग्रुप
please,
प्लीज।
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll send it.
please.
ब्रो गॉड ब्लेस यू विथ ब्यूटीफुल वाइफ ब्रो।
He's a senior by the way. He's a fourth year. Sorry. He's the president of Revolution, if you didn't know.
Hello, people. How are you
अरे
guys doing?
आप हो, अरे नाइस यार, कैसे हो यार आप?
How are you guys doing? How is it going?
Guys, reviews. Have I been putting enough
Not
efforts?
reviews, please.
नहीं नहीं
How
हाँ, but
how are you guys doing? How is
अरे
your pro?
सौरभ भैया, मैं हूँ तनीश फ्रॉम ट्रिपल ई फर्स्ट ईयर जूनियर।
Oh, I know you. You texted
या
me, no?
ब्रो,
Yeah.
या ब्रो,
What's up?
दैट्स व्हाट ब्रो।
So,
आई हैव फोर टू फाइव असाइनमेंट्स, 2 रिपोर्ट्स,
nice.
ऑल द लैब रिकॉर्ड्स आर इनकम्प्लीट।
Nice,
Chalo.
nice.
Bro, you don't have labs in
You
first
guys
sem.
all are in Triple E.
No. Like a lot of them are from like CS non-core branches. Like a good bunch. Hardly Matthew is there, Tanish is there, and like two or three more people from Triple E.
Oh, okay, okay. That's good.
So, ठीक है. It's 18 people. I think that is the number we're going to hit today. We'll start. We'll let people join. Anyway, so the first thing we are covering today, let me share my screen. Finally, I have figured out how to record this shit. Uh, just give me a sec. Hmm, yep. Let's close my Instagram. Um, you shouldn't be seeing this. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully you guys can see the screen. It is a bit laggy as usual, but yeah, amazing. Let me open VS Code. So basically, today we will be starting with, I have noted it down. What was I was supposed to teach? Today we'll start with cascades. Okay, I had given you an assignment for 5 brownie points. Uh, if you guys get it, you get 5 brownie points. We have not decided on how much money you get back, but like this is the bounty that you are supposed to do in between the classes that I had mentioned. What is the cascading part in the cascading style sheets? Did anyone go out and like did you guys try to figure it out yourself? I've teased this thing for like 3 classes now. Did anyone go out and Google why cascading style sheets? CSS is called cascading style sheets. You can raise your hands. I'll definitely ask you to open your mic. No one. Damn, bro. I was about to give you like 5-10 rupees for that. You can literally make your money back however much you paid to Revolution for this. But anyways, no issues. I'll teach you. So basically, to remove all this, this was our last class ka stuff. Um, Cascading style sheets. First of all, I want you to know what a cascade is. We'll go over this really quick. But this, the image of a cascade that I just Googled, this is what cascades stand for. Cascade is basically just a flow of information from one priority level to another, to another, to another, and then it just goes on to different levels. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this thing called indentation in code. So indentation, like we have been doing this thing. We have been, whenever we created divs inside divs, right? Uh, Let me just do this. We create a div, and then we create another div inside a div, and then we create another div inside of this, inside a div. This is what we call indentation. You can clearly see from the spaces and the tab space that is in between the starting point of this div versus the starting point of this div versus the starting point of this div. The three spaces, the three divs that we have created, it is clearly like you can see, you can make out that this particular tag contains all the other two tags. This one is inside the parent div, and this is inside the two parent divs over here. Right. Let me just zoom in a bit, just in case you can't see. So we've created three divs, and they are like in a particular priority level from starting from the first to the second to the third. And this is precisely what you call a cascade. Not exactly in this manner, but the priority level where you can clearly make out that some information is flowing from here to here to here, or there are levels, there is hierarchy to something. Uh, that is what a cascade really represents, and that is what we like. That is what we mean when we say cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets में होता क्या है? One of the like the key features of this CSS art is you can add multiple types of CSS, right? I've told you, let's create a basic boilerplate. We'll create an h1 tag over here, or let's say something, I don't know, heading. Okay, we create an h1 tag over here. We create a paragraph, sorry, a p tag, and we write a paragraph in between. Mm, lorem 10. So as you can see, we have created an h1 tag, we have created a p tag, and let's try to add some CSS to it. So let me show preview. Yeah. This is the preview of my whatever right now. This is the preview of my web page right now. We have added a heading, we have added a paragraph. Now I can add, and I want at least one or two of you to answer this. Let's say I want add style tag to it, a style attribute. And let's say I add color is equal to let's say aquamarine, okay, to the heading. And then I add another uh, let's not write this code for now. You will understand why I'm doing this. But first let's add an internal CSS inside the head tag called style. If a lot of things are going above your head, we have already covered all of this. It is in the Notion document that is posted inside the group. You can just quickly just go and revise all of it if you have forgotten or whatever. Coming back to it, we have just added, if you can see over here, this part, this is an internal style sheet, right? It is a tag that we have created inside the title part of the thing. And inside this, let's just add h1 color is equal to, and now like I'll relate everything later on. Just try to understand what I'm doing right now. I'll relate everything, like why is it cascading and what is the matter of hierarchy over here. But let's say brown. Brown. I've forgotten to type somehow. Okay. Yeah, great. So as you can see, we have added a style tag, an internal style sheet, and we have added the color brown. Now, what happens if I write another style tag for the same element? Like here also, I'm targeting the h1 tag. Here also, I'm going to be targeting the h1 tag only if I write an inline CSS. Which CSS do you think would apply? If I write the if I write the in internal CSS over here, and if I write an inline CSS, which CSS do you think would apply to the heading tag? Because both the CSS, let's say I write something else, color is equal to, let's say I write this inside the, for now, let's assume I've written this inside the h1 tag. Okay, let's say I've written this code inside as an inline CSS inside h1 tag, and I've written this code, color is equal to brown, as an internal CSS style. Now, which style do you think would apply to the heading? Like, which style do you think is actually going to be there?
Internal.
Inline. Inline.
Why?
Because the priority is more than internal.
Exactly, exactly. So just like a lot of like you guys would have studied in organic chemistry, right? There is priority whenever you study that chapter called chemical bonding. I don't want to bring back those JE memories again, but like I have been doing something regarding that, and that is one of the most relatable examples I can think of, hobby. So like also there is priority to like what is the size priority and what is there are trends and everything, right? Same way in CSS, especially the cascading part of CSS, that is why it's called cascading style sheets. There is priority to where you have specified, where you have selected a particular tag or a particular selector, and which out of the two, like if you compare two ways that you have applied CSS to the same tag, which one would apply? Like that is, and it is pretty important. The reason I'm telling you all this is because you will be expected to read larger code bases later on. Although you won't be dealing with vanilla CSS, you will be dealing a lot with Tailwind, but you will be expected to read larger code bases later on in the cohort. And one of the major ways people fuck up big time is they apply different CSS, like they write half the code in inline CSS, half the code in external CSS, half the code in internal CSS. That's two-third of 3/3 of the code. But anyways, so this is a major issue that a lot of devs face, and people don't know how to debug because they don't know which part of code they have specified as inline. And like they will be bugging around in internal CSS over here, changing things, but it will not change because there is some internal CSS that you have applied that you are not paying attention to. So it is pretty important for you to know which part of CSS is like what is the priority order of applying CSS to a particular tag. And that is what Cascade really is. The hierarchy order, just like you can see in a few divs, like I've actually deleted the divs, but if like you remember the divs that we just created, those three divs, as you can see, there was a parent div, there was a sub parent, and there was a sub like the child div, right? There was a clear inheritance, like a hierarchy of divs that was a div inside a div inside a div. Similarly, there is a clear priority order when it comes to CSS as well, and it goes something like, let me just show it to you first. Let me just apply the CSS. If now we write the inline CSS over here as, okay, sorry, style will be, yeah. As you can see, the inline CSS is applied, the external CSS is not, even though both the selectors are H1 tags only. Why? Because inline has higher priority than uh, internal, and internal has higher priority than external. But we'll come to that. This was just an example. I just wanted you to know that there is something called as priority order if you're applying two different CSS to the same tag. I hope that is clear. If it's not, if you have doubt, it might sound a bit confusing. If you have any doubts, you can just quickly raise your hands. I'll come back to you in the Gmeet. Raise your hands if you have doubts. You're allowed to ask shit. Like no one's gonna stop you. Amazing. There is some chat. Let me just open the chat for 2 minutes. Okay, it was just the answer. Nice. Anyways, so this is pretty clear. If we are applying the same CSS, like two different CSS properties to a same particular tab, there is a specified priority order that you are expected to go and check if, like, whenever you're debugging shit, you are expected to go and check which particular priority order you are applying the CSS to and what is working, what is not. That is how you determine it. Now let's define the priority order. Okay, and I'll do it using HTML tags only. Wait. Yeah, Manoj, you can ask the question.
This priorities for all the properties of CSS or only like for front and
No, no,
backward
no.
based?
Whatever priority I'm going to, whatever order I'm going to like explain right now, it applies for all properties, all attributes. Um, like it is not a color specific or a font specific property. It is like pretty standard. Whenever you are facing any issues relating to two different things, conflicting on a particular tag, two different properties, you can just look at this.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
So let me zoom out a bit. My workstation is a bit cluttered. I hope you all can see this. It's not too like it's not too small for you to see. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you can. Yep, great, amazing. So let me create the priority. Someone raised their hands again. Wait, someone did or someone didn't? Let me just... Okay, so let's create the standard thing. Whenever you have any doubt, just write it down. After every single topic, I am gonna ask you if you have any doubts. You can just ask it over there. Agar like galti se if you raise your hands, just quickly put it down. Great. So let's change the color back to black. So that, yeah, that's pretty standard. And I'll create an ordered list. I hope all of you remember what an ordered list is. I create an I'll create an order list of uh, basically I'll go from like the lowest priority to the highest priority, one after the other. And this is how broadly priority order is defined in CSS. First, sorry, um, positioning. I hope the spelling is right. Yeah, Mr. G over there. No, I didn't miss a G over there. Anyways, positioning. Then comes specificity. I don't remember the exact names of these things. That's why I'm referring to my notebook. Yeah, specificity type, and the last is this thing called import. Okay, I forgot an li tag. Happens. Yep. So, yep, there we go. So basically, this is broadly the priority order that CSS follows: positioning, specificity, type, and important. I'll come to what important is last May, but this is the least. Uh, important, sorry, the least, like in the priority order, this is positioning as at the least position, ironic, specificity, type, and important. Important is the most important. I'll come to that last minute. Start with positioning first. Okay, so this is the least important type of specificity order that you need to care about. And what is positioning first of all? So let's say we actually create another H1. Sorry, there is an H1 already. Okay, fine. So let's remove the inline CSS. We'll come to this later. Let's go back to our handy internal CSS. So abhi kya ho raha hai? If you just look at this part of the code, in our internal CSS, the heading is brown. Why? Because we have given it the value of brown. Pretty standard, no issues. But what if I want to change the heading to black and I write this code, or let's say I want to change the heading to black. I write this code, H1. I try to overwrite the brown code and I write this color black. But over here, if you can see, this code is not working. This is working. Why is that? Can anyone quickly just turn on their mics and answer? This is working. Sorry, this is working. This is not working. Although they're in the same, like it's not even an inline or internal wala thing. They're in the same internal CSS wala tag. But this black is being overwritten by brown, and the hint is this keyword over here. Can anyone quickly just pop in the mic and say why is it not working? Quickly, if you can. This is the code, by the way. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Um, that was pretty dumb of you. I expect better because we have been doing this for a while. The reason why this black is not being written and the brown is being written is because H1. First of all, what do you understand from this term positioning? Positioning basically refers to where the particular uh, the property that we have mentioned, where the particular property is positioned inside the same type of that is why type is written over here. In the same type of CSS, let's say if it's internal, inline, or external, in the same type of CSS where this positioning property is mentioned, like where on the screen physically, where is it? On top or on bottom? That is how the CSS will interpret it and it will like apply it. So let me just show you if I wanted to apply the black color back to heading and I wanted to do it the same way, how would I do it? And now it's black. If you can see this, now it's black. What is the one thing that I've changed? Quickly, someone.
Position.
Exactly. Previously, this black was, let me just select this. The code for this, the code for this black wala H1 color was above brown, right? And now it's below brown. And what you can see from like basic experimentation is that this code can be now like this code, the below code, the code that was written below, is applied over here. And even in our previous case that we just saw, when the black was above brown, brown was being applied. So I think the obvious conclusion is that let me write a comment as well. The obvious conclusion is the code below, sorry, if a CSS property is applied to a particular element, the lower code will execute. So if two things that are, I'll come to like how it might get a bit confusing when we talk about other stuff as well. But for now, what you need to know is that first condition is that they need to be of the same type. They cannot be inline and internal, and then you can, and then you're saying the code below is working and code above is not working, or code above is working, code below is not working. They need to be of the same type. If they are either inline, both properties that are applying to the same tag, or internal or external, if that is true, Then you need to check the positioning of the particular, let's say, of the particular property that we have applied. And once you check it, the code below is the one that should be working, right? If we change it to, let's say, blue, now, or let me just do this. Yeah, let me just do this. Um, tab h1. If I want this to work, how would I position it? Where would I keep it? Quickly, someone. It's like it's basic as fuck. Open your mic, it's fine, you can speak. I'm not gonna eat you.
Below the black color.
Exactly. We just move it over here. Control. Okay, sorry. Um, we just move it
So
below.
basically, it goes like in top-down approach. The last one will get executed.
Exactly, exactly. So what computer reads is this is the code that you have written on the latest, right? This is the latest code that you have written based on the priority order because usually you write code after it is sequential, right? This is line number one, this is line number two, line number three. Line number three is supposed to be the latest code that you have written. And that is why computer thinks that whatever you have read, like the last command you gave is the command that should be executed. If I say pick up a particular thing, and then 5 minutes later I say don't pick up the particular thing, what you're going to do is you're going to keep it down, right? Even if you have picked up that, let's say I ask you to pick this up, what you're going to do is you're going to keep it down. When I ask you to keep it down, 5 minutes later, you will keep it down because that is the last order that I gave you. That is the last code that should be executed. And that is why the lowermost code is the one that computer usually execute because it goes on into a sequential order. Uh, बस रख अच्छा ठीक है वहां से लगा दे so this that is why the bottommost code or the like positioning wise the code that is the furthest from the top is the one that is being executed ठीक है I think this should be pretty clear any other property let's say if I want to now do this h1 uh, this is usually what confuses people let's say I want to do this control V h1 um, font size larger sorry control Z uh, let's say 200 pixels. I have changed the heading का basically ये हमारा heading है. We have changed the heading का font size to 200 pixels, right? But I have put it above all this thing, whatever I did over here, and it still executes. The reason is because we are not targeting the same property. Over here we have not targeted the same property. It is not conflicting with the color, right? So it will execute. No matter what, it will execute. The moment it conflicts with another property and it has to resolve a confliction, it has to resolve a conflict, that is when the priority, like the CSS cascading will kick in. And that is where these properties will actually matter. Apart from that, if it is not conflicting with a particular property, these positioning does not really matter. Let's say now I create another h1 with a font size. You're not expected to do this a lot, but like you should know this because there is a lot of bad code out there and you need to navigate through it. You will be given a lot of bad code as well. I have written it personally and you need to clean my mess later on in the course. So yeah, anyways. So let's say font size again, I put it as 100 pixel. Now there is a conflict between the font sizes, and this is how the computer will resolve it, at least based on the positioning. So that was the first thing in our list, positioning. I think it's pretty clear. I think it's like even if you have doubt, you can just quickly raise your hands. Uh, it should be pretty clear. ठीक है, incredible, nice. Yeah, let's get back to it. The second type of specificity, sorry, the second type of the order, the priority order is called specificity. And specificity refers to, I've told you about this thing called, let me just add a paragraph. यहाँ पे. I've told you about this thing called IDs, classes, and tags when we learned about the CSS selectors, right? So just based off these three things, if you know what IDs, classes, and tags are, I know a lot of you do because you have attended those classes. Uh, just broadly, just these three things. Look at these three things. And tell me broadly, what do you think is more specific? An ID, class, or a tag? Which is the most specific
ID,
out of ID, right? Which is the next class or a tag?
class,
Class and then a tag.
class.
Amazing. So basically, we're just narrowing down things when we are talking about tags, classes, and IDs. Let's say there are five li tags. I have given class is equal to a to two tags. There are four li tags. You could have corrected me. Class is equal to a to two tag. Sorry, a to two tags, and class is equal to b to two tags as well. Let me just copy paste this. Right. So I've given two tags as class is equal to A, class is equal to B. So basically, I've grouped them inside a particular class. We have gone over this, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But I've grouped them, these two things, or like I've basically said to the computer, these two LIs are of a particular type, and these two LIs are of another particular type. And now, if I want to give them some ID, let's say ID is equal to first. So it's like basically class, let's say you are part of triple E, right? So triple E K section or H section, whatever section you're in, that is your class. And inside of that, you have a particular I card, your ID card. That is your ID. So you are being grouped inside, like the group of people who are studying electrical engineering are called people of triple E, and that is your class. Triple E is your class, and your individual whatever name you have is your ID, and that is how I asked you to relate to IDs and classes. And the common this the last thing that is there, li is the tag that we have mentioned over here, just in case you missed that session. Li is the tag, and that tag is like a broad, like it is basically the thing after classes. So let's say you're part of triple E. Now triple E is a stream of engineering, so you can probably look at it that way. Anyways, so out of these three, IDs are the most specific, classes are the least specific, and tags are like, sorry, classes are the second, most specific, and tags are the least specific. So just let me remove or comment all this for now. I'll comment this code and let me write this. What ID have I given? ID, sorry, I forgot about this first. Let's say color again is equal to yellow. Um, where is that? Yep, class A, color blue, and let's say now we give, okay, sorry, I have given a CSS inside the CSS control X. My bad. Uh, color blue, and let's say li color red. Are you able to follow up until now? Yep. So basically यहाँ पे हो क्या रहा है? Let's just look at this tag. Okay, let me change the color from yellow to something, visible brown again. Okay, let's just look at this particular positioning list item that I have added. Why is this being like all these CSS properties apply to this, right? It is of class A, it is of tag li, and it is of ID first. But why is the first one applying to this positioning like list item? You don't need to answer it. I think it's pretty clear. It is because we, based on specificity, based on specificity, the ID, whenever we are mentioning the ID as the selector, that is the most specific we are going, at least based on specificity, right? The ID, whenever we are mentioning the ID as the selector, so whenever we use hashtag, we are mentioning the ID, right? I have taught you this when we learned about selectors. So whenever we use ID as the selector. That is the most specific we are going. So these two will be ignored, at least for this particular tag, whose ID is first, and this particular CSS will apply. After that, A is there. A is class. Now compared to red and blue, why? Let's say we remove this. Let's say we remove this and we remove this. Yeah. Why is this blue and not red? Because I've set all the li to red, right? All the list items are red according to this particular line of code. Why is this not red? That is because class, again, class we denote it using a full stop or a dot in front of the class name. And when we use class selector, a class is more specific than a tag, right? And similarly, not similarly, I mean, there's nothing left. There's something called as attribute selectors as well, but I don't want to confuse you at the moment. You can go on, like, if you are dedicated enough, you can go on and learn what attribute selector is. It is nothing complicated. You can just go and look at the syntax and you'll understand if you have been following up until now from the start. So a class selector is much more specific than a tag selector and an ID selector that we just erased. Control Z, 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 Z. Yeah. An ID selector is much more specific than a class selector. That is why the most specific, even though I have written the li lower than the the ID. So basically, I've used a tag as a selector lower than the ID. So according to our previous rule, a lot of you might think that the lowermost CSS should be applied if it is a conflicting CSS, but no. Specificity, in this case, this part, is given more priority than positioning. So this is the broad aspect. This is the broader aspect of importance. So it goes from important being the most important. I'll come to this. This is not very obvious. Then type, then specificity, and then positioning. So even if there is a conflict between positioning and specificity, specificity will win. And inside specificity, like uh, what is the how specific are we going uh, is determined via IDs, class, and tags. I know this last sentence was like hella confusing. Even I got confused saying it. But is it pretty clear that if there is a conflict between any of these types, the important will get the most important, then type, then specificity, and then positioning. And out of these, like once the conflict is resolved between these uh, types, then their like sub whatever the rule says will be applied. Is it clear? Just give me a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, now is the time. Ask it fast. Just open your mic. I'll wait for 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to. We will not be covering positioning today. Okay. So basically, this week we'll be done with CSS. This was supposed to happen last week, but we didn't because of my internals. This week we'll be done with CSS, so no more CSS. I mean, you will be using CSS, but like we'll move past CSS this week. Anyway, so we will not be covering positioning anymore at the moment. Fine. After this, I will quickly cover what box model is. Okay, box model is pretty important. And once I cover the box model, you should be able to do the box model assignment, and I will be uploading assignment for specificity. Sorry, the cascading style sheets today as well. Today only, like on the GitHub. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, fine. So no issues. No one has any issues. Right. Now let's come back to type. This is what we covered initially. Type is basically, let me add another p tag. Type is inline versus internal versus external. And now just someone just quickly open your mic and tell me which one has the most priority, which one is the second priority, which one is the third priority when we talk about types. Fast. Do it.
External, internal, and inline.
So you're saying external has the most or the least?
Most. Most priority.
No. Anyone
Inline,
else?
internal, and external.
Yeah,
That I have.
exactly. So just always whenever you're thinking, right, always try to go outside. Okay. So start from small. The smallest one will have the most specificity. Even in like this, the most priority. Even in specificity, what we saw was ID was the lowest, like the lowest unit of, identification. After that, the class is there. It is a much broader unit of identifying something. And then there is a tag. So we are going outside, and the smallest one always gets the most priority. Positioning में तो it's pretty simple. जो सबसे नीचे होगा, it gets the most priority. Specificity maybe when we are going outside from ID to class to a tag, ID will get the most priority, tag will get the least, और बीच में जो भी आता है, it will happen according to that. Similarly, in type, inline is like inside the line, right? You don't need to create any external tag for it. So it's almost like the smallest unit sort of a thing. Like you can just quickly add it. Smallest amount of work done. For internal, what you have to do is you have to create two tags, and inside the tags you're going to write, sorry, to a close opening and a closing style tag, and inside the tag you will write multiple selectors and all of that. So that is more work. And in external, n- now not only are you creating an external file, you're switching between files, seeing what HTML tag you want to apply a particular CSS to, then going back to an external file, typing it out. So basically, that is much more work than internal, and inline CSS is much less work than internal as well. So basically, inline, internal, external is the way to go. And I already showed you why when we added. I'll show you again. Okay, let's say color. Sorry, my bad. What is happening? अच्छा मैंने styles नहीं दिया. See, it happens. Color blue. और यहाँ पे if I say uh, let's give this tag an ID as well. Let's give this tag an ID. अब भाई मैं रिकॉर्ड कर रहा हूँ. ये यूट्यूब पे जा रहा है. Right. Anyways, let's give this an ID of cat. ठीक है. So we've given this an ID. We've given this a particular inline CSS. Let's add let's add an internal CSS with the ID only. Okay. So let's say using the ID, I have added an internal CSS. Uh, color, sorry, color pink. This pink color won't apply even though we have selected the most, when it comes to specificity, the highest priority is given to ID, right? And we have selected ID, but the pink won't apply. Why? Because between type and specificity, type wins. And when it comes to type, inline is always more dominant than internal. Clear? I already showed it to you like at the beginning of the session. This is what we mean when we say when there is a conflict, resolve the conflict first. Which one will win? Type will win. And out of this, which type will win? Inline will win compared to internal. Clear? Now let's come to the important. Let's say over here, this this color being pink, okay, for this particular IDs, classes, and tags wala P that we have created. Color being pink is important, and like it has to be there no matter what, even though it is in inline, and but we want it to override this internal wala CSS. What we will do it, what we'll do is we'll just put an exclamation mark and write important. The moment you write important in front of anything, all the like this priority order shit we did above it will vanish. It will not mean anything. This will become the most important, and all the conflicts will be automatically resolved. And whatever you have put important in front of, that CSS property will be applied to it. Okay, so that is why I kept it separately. This important tag. The important will like override everything, and whatever you have written important in front of, that will automatically apply. So try to study these three or like understand these three things separately, and the moment you put important into the picture, there everything is like nullified, and there's no meaning to putting all the priority and everything. You can just write important in front of something and it will be applied. Not useful, not useful. Like you should be, you are supposed to prefer inline or mostly external CSS when it comes to making actual websites. But you should be knowing this because a lot of devs do use these things, and you should be aware of what is not good practice. Anyways, no doubts, I would assume. If there are any, just quickly raise your hands. Good. Now another 10-minute ka session. I'll take another 10-minute ka session to explain what box model is. Okay. No idea what this is. So this is my Gmail. I shouldn't be opening my Gmail. Quickly, let's move to Canva. I'll use Canva for it, okay? And then it'll hardly take me 10 to 12 minutes. Just wait for 10 minutes. Um, and I'll teach you what 2 minutes ago. Uh, hmm, um, let's create a new design. If it's gonna work this slow, in that case, I'll just open VS Code. Fuck it. I was supposed to show you something, but ठीक है, I'll just add it in the docs. Let's erase everything. Okay, and yeah, I'll show you what box model is. I hope everyone is familiar with this thing called dev. Is there anyone who is not familiar with dev? Raise your hands. ठीक है. So a lot of you, almost all of you, are familiar with what dev is. Let's say we give it an inline CSS only, just for the sake of convenience. Don't do this, but for convenience, we'll do it. Color. Let's say color blue. ठीक है. I've given it a color, but it will not show because my div is not, occupying any area. So where will the color be filled? So let's give it an area. We'll give it a height. Height. Why is it not? Okay, makes sense. Hmm. Why is this? Okay. Okay. Sorry. My bad. Height is equal to, let's say, 10 pixel, and width is equal to 10 pixels as well. Okay. I've given it. Let's preview this again. Show physics. Let's make it 100 pixel. Maybe that is why it's not. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Why is this not working? Let's write code directly. HTML def. Let's add style to it. Happens sometime. Height is equal to, let's say, 200 pixels, and width is equal to 200 pixels. Border we will give of border of 2 pixel black solid. Okay. Now this should theoretically create a div that is 200 pixels long, 200 pixels wide, and has a border of 2 pixels with black and a solid border. Okay, let me show preview. God, please work. Yeah, okay. So now it's working. We have created a div that is of height 200 pixels, width 200 pixels, border 2 pixels, black and solid. Okay? So basically, this is a box. And whenever you see any particular website, right? Let's go to some website quickly. We'll go to a website. Let's just go to this website. Okay. As you can see, this particular thing can be fitted inside a box. You can create a height and a width to it. This search bar can be fitted inside a box. This is a box. This is a box. This is a box. Like when you see a website consists of a lot of boxes. Okay, just try to imagine whenever you go to like any website, it is usually just visible, not visible. Sure. So it is usually just boxes. If I go to Amazon.com, if I just go to Amazon, I will see there is a big box. This red color ka box. This is a box. This is a box. This is a box. Like if I hover it, you can see the box as well. Okay, so this is supposed to be a box. This is supposed to be a box. This is a box, box, box. Like it is filled with boxes, right? And that is what box model in web dev really is. That is what box model is in web dev. Basically, a website is consists of a lot of boxes, and these boxes are nothing but divs. Okay, so basically, we need to work with divs in box model. All you need to know is a website, whenever you make it, like whenever you are trying to make a website, it consists of a lot of boxes, and you fit things inside boxes to make that particular website. So whenever you're creating a layout, you create boxes, and inside the boxes, you fit whatever content you want. So similarly, यहाँ पे we have created a div जहाँ पे जिसका कोई background color नहीं है, but a it has a height and a width and basically a border of 2 pixels. Now in box model, what we are really concerned with is three things. Those are border, margin and paddings. ठीक है, तो सबसे पहले border देख लेते हैं. Border you अभी जब मैंने ये border बनाया, now you are already familiar with what border really is. The syntax for border is you just write the keyword border colon 2 pixel. So basically you give how thick you want the border to be. Let's say if I change 2 pixel to let's say 10 pixel, the thickness of my border is now changed to 10 pixel. If you do it 100 pixel, the thickness is now 100 pixels. So basically the first thing you give is thickness, how thick you want your border to be. So let's say 2 pixel for convenience. Space, no commas. Take it. This is a like a blunder that a lot of people do. You either specify which like type of border you want or color. It is pretty interchangeable. So let's say we want our border to be now we want our border to be brown and we want dotted. We want a dotted border. Now if I apply this syntax, this particular syntax, let me just I don't know if it's visible or not. If I apply this particular syntax, the border is now completely changed. Okay. The border is now 2 pixel. Sorry, it's the same. The thickness is same, 2 pixel. It is brown now and it is dotted, as you can see. This is how we work with borders. Okay. In the assignment where you will be given the syntax and you will be like a expected to work with borders. The assignment is pretty good for box model. It has already been uploaded on the Notion website and the sorry, not the Discord, the GitHub, and just go and download the assignment and try to finish it off with this. That is why I'm keeping the session pretty short, like it's sub 1 hour. That is how you work with borders, by the way. The next thing we are concerned with is okay. Someone just raised their hands. Let me just check. हाँ मनोज अस्वल.
Is it possible to include an image or a background color inside a box?
Yeah, it is. And that is how, like, जब हम लोग when we went to the Amazon website, right? You saw there was an image inside of a particular, let's say, a card that you can go to and click, and then the product will open. You can do all that inside a div. How to do it? Try to experiment with it. Okay, first of all, try to experiment with it. The next assignment slash after we learn position, the next assignment slash the live coding that I've written in the schedule that will actually, you know, that will deal with a lot. I'll give you an assignment as well. I'll give you an assignment where you have to position, like using margin and padding, what we will be learning in the next 10 minutes. You will be expected to position a particular div that contains an image, and like all of that you have to do on your own. Great idea. I will give you that assignment after this. So basically, let's go ahead and learn padding, what padding really is. And instead of learning theoretically, I'll just show you what padding is. If I inside this inline CSS only, you see why inline CSS is not used, by the way. This is so like cluttery and like not good looking. You need to like navigate a lot through it and you're not sure which one is the property and which one is the value. Anyways, but just for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead with let's make it solid because solid borders are always better. Let's make it 5 pixel so that it is visible. Yeah, now it's pretty clear. Now let's quickly add something to this div. If we, let's say, add inside this div, inside the starting and the ending tag of this div, if I add p lorem20, as you can see, this paragraph has been added inside the box. I mean, that should be pretty fascinating on its own. Like we have added stuff inside the box. Similarly, you add image and everything. But But now what if I want some gap between my border, the start of my border, if you can see over here. This is where my border starts, this is where my border ends. And the moment where my border ends, my div also ends for now. Take up until margin is introduced. For now, the moment my border ends, that is where the div will end as well. That is how much space div will take. Anyways, so let's add some padding quickly. Padding, let's say 5 pixel. No, 20 pixel. Let's say 20 pixel. The moment I added 20 pixel ka um, margin, as you can see, it seems like my div just became bigger, right? What is happening? So abhi, let's say it is coming over here. 20 pixel ka I have added padding, not 20, 20 pixel, enter, and my div just became bigger. What is padding? What do you like from the change that we just saw? What do you think padding really is?
The distance between the margin and the paragraph.
Uh, the border and the paragraph, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the start of the border from the inside and the paragraph. This is 20 pixel. This is 20 pixel. This is more space, but like 20 pixel is added over here between this and this as well. When we didn't have 20 pixel, ये वाला space was already there, right? But an additional 20 pixel has been added. That is why it is has become a bit bigger. Over here, the endmost line and this also has a 20 pixel ka gap. So basically, adding gap between the border and the content inside it is what you call padding. So basically, border ke andar, if you want to create segregation between different things, you add padding to that particular thing. Here we have added padding to div. If we add padding to, let's say we create another p, we create another paragraph, lorem 10. These are our two paragraphs. Since we need to fit all of it, padding top is given more priority, but we'll come back to what padding top is, what margin top is, what border top is, all of that in the next session when we are also learning about positioning. Right now, also like padding top, bottom, all of that is also given in the assignment. So like steps and all are written. All you need to do is just follow the steps and then see what all of that is on your own. If not, I'll be covering that in the next session. Um, coming back to this, if I want to add gap between these two as well, what I can do is I can add padding to the, sorry. Now I've added 5 pixel ka padding over here, and as you can see, my P slightly moved. Sorry, Control Z. Yeah, it's slightly moved. Why? Because between these two things as well, like all around this P, an additional 5 pixel of padding has been added. Clear? So that is what padding really is inside a div, but it is mostly concerned with like the padding is mostly concerned with div. So inside a div, when you add padding, you're adding space between the start of the border from the inside and the content. But what if you want space over here, over this, between this and the edge of my margin? Sorry, my browser. How do I add space over there? We do that using something called, I'll just quickly add the comment. We do that using something called margin. Now, what is margin? Um, Again, let's add margin to this div only. All we need to do is write margin. Okay. As you can see, there is margin top, bottom. Let me introduce one of these. Let's say I do margin top and I add 20 pixel. The moment I write X, what do you think will happen? The moment I write 20 pixel, what do you think will happen? Okay, fine. Let me explain to you. So basically, margin is the space between the browser the border of the browser and the div. Okay, so if I write margin top 20 pixel, what it will do is it will create distance of 20 pixel from the top of my browser and the start of the div. Let's do this. So as you can see, there is a 20 pixel gap now. If I make it to 50 pixels, um, now there's a 50 pixel ka graph from the top. It pushed my div from the top 50 pixels downwards. Similarly, if I do just margin, what do you think will happen when I do just margin 50 pixel? Anyone? Now that you know what margin top is.
There's a 50 pixel like gap on all the four sides.
Exactly. It will add a 50 pixel ka gap from this, and also if there is another div over here or any other particular thing that is, it's over here, it will add 50 pixels between it and this as well. So let's say I only want 50 pixel ka graph from the top and from the right side. So what I need to do is basically I just need to add this thing called margin top 50 pixel. So the moment I do this, the gap is created from the top, and then you know quickly in classic CSS style, I also add margin left 50 pixel, or let's say right 50 pixel. Uh, so now it has created an imaginary space between over here, so that any other div that is created in this particular, sorry, in this particular space, it will automatically have a margin on the right side of the of our div, the div that we are working with. And like there will be a 50 pixel of space between any other div. So let's, okay, I have not taught you positioning, so let's not do that for now. But I hope it's clear what margin right is, or let's say we'll just change it to left, although you won't see any difference between. So the moment we do margin left, it is very specific. We have added a margin of 20 pixel from top. We have added a margin of, sorry, 50 pixel from top, and we have added a margin of 50 pixel from left. Okay? That is what border, margin, and padding is. Someone has a doubt? Huh. You can ask the doubt.
If there is another div, should we use like a margin function or a cell
So if
spacing
you
function?
cell spacing, basically you should be using positioning function first of all to position the divs if you want to create another like separation between two particular divs. So we will come to what positioning is later on, most likely next class if everything goes right tomorrow. Uh, But for now, margin is the way to go because it is the go-to standard way of creating, a distance between. If you want to create space between any two particular things that are like you think are too close clustered, you want space between two things. Margin is the way to go. Yeah, ask. Janvi, you can ask.
There were two paragraphs in the div. No, can I move only one of the paragraph to the right or left?
Yeah, let's say you add, let's say over here, you want to, first of all, this padding is with relative to the div. Okay, so over here, what you did was, this is the div. It's like a wall. Okay, so now this wall has a 20 pixel ka no, you cannot come in this 20 pixel ka zone. So when we add padding to the div, what we did was we created a wall, first of all, using a div, and then we created a no entry zone for the 20 pixel around the area that is 20 pixel around the div. Now, what if we want to shift this particular tab, just this one P tag, to, just a little bit on the side? What we can do is we can add margin to this, not use padding again. Padding is used to secure the space inside of something. Let's say I don't want my head to, bang in this particular, let's say this is a roof. I don't want my head to bang. What I'll do is I'll add a padding of, let's say, foam, 20 centimeters or whatever, so that my head doesn't bang. Similarly, so that this particular thing doesn't touch the wall of the diffs, padding is added. But what if I want to move 20 pixels below this roof as well? How would I do it? I would push from this roof, right? I would try to push myself, apply force, and move away from this. How do I move away? We do that using padding. Sorry, using margin. So let's say to this particular P, I add style. Don't do it. Don't use inline CSS. Use internal CSS at best. Try to use external if you can. Um, Style, and let's say we add margin 10 pixel. Sorry. Margin, we want it from the left, right? So let's add margin left 10 pixel. What it will do is it will shift this 10 pixel from here. So यहाँ पे 20 pixel का there was already a no-go zone. You cannot enter the 20 pixel around this border. And from there also, this particular P is pushed 10 pixel to the right because we have added the margin on the left. So it is pushed 10 pixel to the right. And that is how you basically, move around and add spaces between two particular things. Also, whenever something is enclosed inside a div, whatever tag you apply to it, it will be in relation to the div, not the browser. You will know why I'm saying this when you do the second assignment for the day. First one is I've already uploaded in the last class. Do the box model wala assignment that is already uploaded in the last class. This class, you are supposed to do another assignment that I will be uploading and an assignment related to positioning. So basically, two for this, one for last, three. Try to take your time. You can take your time. You can do whenever you want. Just try to complete it because that is how you learn, not by listening to me for 1 hour by doing the coding. So if you have, listen to me, you want a break, you can take a break and then you can go and code on your own for the next 1.5 hours and it should be done. Manoj, you can ask.
Can we, if like in HTML we have used center tag, if we use the center tag in CSS, the same effect only we'll get, right?
Basically, how to center a div is like a pretty standard meme. ठीक है? I'll come to that when we come to positioning, okay? So don't worry.
Okay.
Anyways, so that was it for today. Let me stop the recording. Hopefully, my audio